Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of All Things Dog Podcast with FlatTop K9. I am your host, Tim Russell, owner and operator of FlatTop K9 in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. If you're tuning in, I want to thank you very much. We are starting to gain some ground on the major platforms, and I really appreciate it. So let me mention that real quick. I got some cheat sheets. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, Audible, excuse me, Amazon Music, Podbean, and my YouTube channel, which is FlatTop K9, FLAT, the letter K, number 9, FlatTop K9. That's on YouTube. Also, before we get started, last week I said I was going to do a giveaway. I believe the question was, where do I keep the dogs when they come? George Michaels is the winner. George Michaels is the winner. He gets this fancy dancy wancy pantsy sticker, FlatTop K9 sticker, and the FlatTop K9 rubber bracelet. So thank you, George. Let's see here. Guys, I'm going to say this every podcast. So if you are not supplementing, sorry about that, I just kicked the tripod with my foot. If you have a larger breed dog, especially, you need to be giving your dog supplements, joint supplements, okay? And I have tried the two top brands, Dasequin and Cosequin over the years, and they were just not effective, okay? And so I can tell you from personal experience with my 3 shepherds, this product, their prebiotic and their joint supplements have literally changed the lives of all 3 of my dogs. Okay. So if it's not something that I would give my own dog, I am not going to recommend it. And it's the only product that I will put my name on. Let me get it here real quick. The company is New Vet Labs. This green bottle right here, I know the people listening on the audio platforms, they can't see it, but it's a prebiotic. It's called New Vet Plus. Okay. This is incredible for their gut. A lot of German Shepherds have gut issues, as many other dogs do as well. But I mean, especially Shepherds, and I have 3 Shepherds. So this is incredible for their gut, their coat, their eyes, their immune system. It's phenomenal. Okay. Just a self little testimony for my own dogs. My big boy Nico, he is a Malinois Shepherd mix, and he would not eat. He could go 3 days without eating, and he was losing weight. And I was just like, man, I don't know what else to do. I'm just kind of running out of options. And so when I got connected with this company, they said, try the prebiotic and see what it'll do for him. And it has completely changed him, just completely. My youngest dog, Jack, as well. It's really helped because, man, did I go through the diarrhea bout with him when I got him. But Nico, I mean, he is like ready to eat now. He gets 2 cups in the morning, 2 cups at night. There was times I'd go in there and his plate would still be full. And I don't care. They've been on these products for about a year. And during the hottest days of the summer, normally he wouldn't eat. And do that for, like I said, 2 or 3 days. But now that he's on this, man, his weight has come back. He looks really good. He's really strong. He even runs faster now. I never really thought about that. But I mean, I've thought about that, but I never really connected it with the product. But if it's overall health, you know, why wouldn't he have more energy? You know, and it's incredible. Okay, so that is the prebiotic. The other ones, this purplish color bottle, is called New Joint, D as in dog, S as in Sam. New Joint DS. That stands for double strength. They have another one that is New Joint Plus. If you have a smaller dog and you don't need, maybe a larger dosage, you can get that and you'd be golden. Okay. Those of you that listen weekly on here, I mean, you've heard me say it, so you're going to probably get bored with it. But my female, who is now 7, was coming up lame in her back end, and I started giving this to her, and within like 3 days, she was showing a comeback already. And in less than a month, she was back to 100%. And she's a big runner, and she's fast, and she is. I'm going to say she's beyond 100%. Okay, it's just amazing what this will do. And several of my clients, several people that are not my clients, get this for their dog. Every time I do a podcast, there's something with this thing that makes my nose itch. But anyways, it's just incredible. I mean, I can't say enough about it. I can't push it enough. Recently, I put a post on my Facebook page, my business page, FlatTop K9, specifically about this because I've had some people reach out to me, so I made another post about it. I didn't get any likes or anything like that, but I got some notifications that some people ordered the product. So that's what it's about. Do I make a little bit on it? I do, but I'm not sure even what it is. It doesn't matter to me. I just want your dogs to be healthy. Okay. Now, you cannot get the product from Sam's, Costco, or anywhere else. You can only get it direct from New Vet Labs. Okay. A lot of vets will recommend Dasequin. No comparison. No comparison. Okay. So you can go to my website, and under health and nutrition, there are 2 links there. There are 2 pictures come up, but there's links. They're actually links. You can click on either one of them, and it will take you directly to the website. Okay. And there's already an order code that is connected with those links. Okay. But for those that still like to get on a computer and just type in www, it'll be www.nuvet.com. That's NUVET.com/392826. You cannot get it without that order code. Okay? Very, very important. It has been, those of you in podcast land, you're not going to be able to see this, but I'm going to show it to those who go to YouTube. It has been rated number 1, in magazines, and it's just incredible, guys. Even our little 6-pound Malshipoo gets, I cut hers. They're wafers. They're all wafers, and I cut them up in 4ths, and she gets 1 every morning. So you want to be proactive with your dogs. Don't be reactive later. Be proactive, because I've been there. Okay. I was one that thought, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And it did. Okay. And it did. So it comes out, if you also listen, you have nothing to lose, because there's a 60-day money back guarantee. Now, If your dog is limping or having some issues, I truly believe you're going to see a difference. Okay. But if your dog seems to be healthy and you just want to be proactive, it might be like if you're healthy, you just want to start taking a multivitamin. You might not feel anything from it, but you're putting into your body what your body needs. Okay. So you wouldn't necessarily go, oh, I don't see this change in my dog, so I'm going to get my money back. Just know that you're putting into your dog what your dog needs. Now, something else. They have the highest quality ingredients. There's nothing out there better than what they use. Okay. And, like with vegetables, if you boil vegetables, you lose some of the nutrients out of it. This is cold processed. So it doesn't lose anything. Makes it easier to digest. It's just overall better production, for the product. They have their own laboratory that they make the stuff in. Guys, it's phenomenal. So I really encourage you, if you do auto ship, you can save 15%. Okay. And this comes out to like 52 cents a day. Anybody listening to this that runs down the store and gets a Coke out of the refrigerator at the local Quick Sack, I don't even know. Haven't bought one in years. I mean, what does that cost? Or what's people pay for tobacco or cigarettes? I mean, come on. This is something that's going to be healthy for your dogs. So, all right. Now, normally what I've been doing is, I've got something that I want to talk about today. And then at the end, I normally do just a short Q&A. But what I'm going to do at the end of what I want to talk about is I want to go over. I've had a lot of calls lately, and I'm just gonna be honest with you. A lot of people wasted my time. I spent a lot of time on the phone with people, and they say they're going to do training, then they don't do training. Then I don't hear from people. And recently, I've just had somebody call me back, even a second time, and I still took the time with them. And then when you do a follow up, they ghost you, right? But this particular person, I'm not going to mention their names or anything. I'm not even going to mention the breed of the dog, but it's a power breed. I'm just going to say that. That's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about our phone conversation and in my visit, a little bit of my visit with them. It's really important. So here's what I want to talk about today. The bulk of what I do is pet dog training. Okay. But I have 3 shepherds, and all of them are narcotic trained. They are not on the police force. They're not certified dogs, but I have used one of my dogs in a drug search in a private sector. And that's what I want to talk about today. So, a little over a year ago, I was contacted and I was asked if I had a drug dog available to do a search. And I said, yeah, I've got 3, but one in particular that is more ready to go than the other 2. And I said, but I would like about a week to kind of, brush her up a little bit. So they said, okay, no problem. I said, so what is going on? So the person that contacted me was contacted through somebody at the local police department. It's out of my area. And this family, their grandson, who is, I think either in his late 20s or early 30s, had been using drugs, dealing drugs, and they believe selling drugs out of their apartment that is attached to the house. So he had gone to rehab, and I don't know all the particulars of that, if it was court ordered or what it was, but they wanted a dog to come in and clear the house before he came back from rehab. So by the time I got my dog, brushed up and everything, we only had a few days before he was to come back home. So I was told that it was going to be a very quick search, just a couple minutes, and it was a very small house. And I said, okay, no problem. So I met the guy up there that contacted me. And from the street view, it appeared to be a very small house, maybe 1,200, 1,400 square feet. But when you walk down, there was a steep driveway off to the right side of the house. And when you walk down this driveway, it opened up. Like, it ended up being close to 4,000 square feet. And you would never know it because it went even into like where the wood area was, So anyways, it was a huge apartment downstairs. So we met the owners, and the guy that had contacted me, he was handling everything, and he was explaining to them that the way we do it is, if the dog alerts or indicates on an area, we will mark that area, and then we will notify you to where we put blue tape, actually. And that way you come down. If you at that point, it's up to you what you want to do. You want to search that area. We're not going to dig things apart. If you find something, if you want to call the police, if you want to flush it down a toilet, that is totally up to you at that point. Okay. So they said, okay. And then they left the apartment, and they had already started. They were kicking him out. Okay. But he needed to come back to get his things. So they had started packing up. Everything was in boxes. I mean, it was just, you had to step over this and step over this. It was like a maze in there. So I just kind of did a little walkthrough to kind of see where I was going to have to take my dog. And there was like little rooms off to one side. And, it was big. It was really big. So he stood back and he said, whenever you're ready to start working your dog, go ahead. So I used the command, find it. And so I was leading her around the room and just pretty much letting her, she's very good, my girl Sage, just pretty much letting her do her thing. So we cleared what I'm going to call, I guess it would be the living room. Okay. So we went from there into the dining room, and then we went off. There was this little room off. It wasn't even, you could store stuff in it, but it wasn't very big. Okay. And I mean, she was jumping over stuff. I was like, getting her to crawl under benches and, all this stuff. And so we cleared that room, and then we came back into this dining room, and we cleared that room as well. And there was suitcases that were opened up, and there, there was one time where I thought she was going to indicate on this suitcase. And so I brought her back around, and then she smelled it again. And then we moved on. So again, this is a very big apartment. Like I said, the whole house ended up being close to 4,000 square feet. And I thought that when we were done downstairs, we were going to be done, but we ended up having to go upstairs and do the whole upstairs. So her nose was getting dry. And so I kept putting water in my hand and moistening up her nose. And so we come down this hallway and we come up on the bathroom. And I take her in to clear this bathroom. And I'm going to laugh about it. And she starts getting a drink. She gets a drink out of the toilet, So I pull her off the toilet and we go over, clear the cabinets and everything. And then we're heading down the hallway, and there's only a small, it's kind of a pie shaped room, like a closet area down at the end of the hall, and one other good sized room downstairs because we'd already cleared everything. So we come out of the bathroom and we start down the hall, and I've got her on like a 15-foot leash. And we go down the hall, and she does a 180, and she comes back down the hall, and she goes to the cold air return. And the way she indicates is she will look at me and then she will scratch a little bit at it. Now, she's not a bomb dog, okay? So, good thing, right? But she will claw at it. Okay, so I took her past it and I went in a totally different room, let her search in another room, and then we cleared the last room. And so I just let her go, and she went back down that hallway, and she went back to the cold air return. And she did the same thing. She scratched at it. So then we noticed that the top right corner of the cold air return was pulled away from the wall, probably about 3/4 of an inch. And so my friend called the owners and said, "Hey, have you guys ever noticed about this cold air return?" And they said when they were packing up his things, they found that it was pulled away from the wall, but they didn't touch it. So he told me, he said the dog indicated on the cold air return. So he took some blue tape and he marked it. And then we went upstairs. Now, I'm going to be honest. My dog's getting tired, right now. Excuse me. So we go upstairs, and all the family's in the living room. And we didn't really think there was anything upstairs, even though he had been upstairs. But I still took my dog through the house, and she didn't find anything upstairs. So we went back, and I took an odor with me. I think I took meth with me. It's a training aid that we often use for training. And my buddy took it downstairs, and he hid it for her so she could go back down there and actually find something, because she works so hard. We need to let her find something. So he took it back downstairs, and I'll be honest. She's ready to just get in the truck, So take her back downstairs. I said, find it. And she starts searching. Next thing I know, she's got her nose up underneath of this bench, and she starts scratching at the bench. And of course, there it was. So I took her back up and I put her in the truck, and we went back inside and started talking to the family. And again, we let them know that, hey, we marked that cold air return. We didn't touch anything. Now it's going to be up to you guys, to go down there, pull it away from the wall. And there's a possibility that there was nothing there, but I'm 100% certain that there was something there at one time, and there was a residual odor in that cold air return. So I never did find out that when they went and searched it, what they found. I didn't have any contact with them after that. But this was a person, the grandson, that was very successful in business. He wasn't self-employed, but I mean the job that he had, he was very successful at it. Okay. And because of the influence of friends, he started dabbling in drugs, started using, and then became a dealer himself. So the reason why we want to do this is if we can go into a home, let's just say if you're listening to this, and you can reach me at FlatTopK9.com. If you suspect somebody in your home of doing drugs, say if it's a teenager, they're at school, I can come in, do a search, and then if we find something, again, we're going to leave it up to you to either call the police. I know you're going to have a discussion with the child, and maybe we can just get them some help, right? Before they head down that road and end up in jail, and then worst case scenario, end up in prison. So that is something that I'm wanting to move towards and doing more of. And I think there's some legality things to work out. If anybody's listening and can help me in that manner, please reach out to me. So that's pretty much the story that I wanted to go over today. And man, we're only at 27 minutes. Okay. So and let me say this. I hope that the grandson is clean now. I hope that the rehab worked. And surely these people that, pushed him and, hey man, just try it. However they did it, clearly they're not friends, because a friend would never do that to somebody. So I hope that he has left that crowd, so we wish him the best, so, but I want to cover something else here in closing. When I say in closing, watch me go another 30 minutes. I've received several calls recently, and one of the biggest things that owners struggle with that I point out to them is how important it is to be a strong, confident leader to your dog. That's across the board. But if you have a fearful dog, everything's the boogeyman. I growl, you go away so I don't have to deal with the stress. If you have that kind of dog, it is very, very important to be a strong, confident leader and to even correct the dog. Okay? So everything we do means something to the dog. How we present ourselves means something to the dog. Everything from our body to our eyes, our expressions, everything matters to the dog. Okay? And one of the biggest mistakes people make is talking to their dog in sentences. I think I may have even brought this up on another podcast. But, when you say you talk to the dog and the dog's head's going side to side, they're so stinking confused. They don't have a clue what you're saying. But there are people out there that swear the dogs know exactly what they're saying. And I tell them, no, they don't. They may be able to pick out a word here and there that you use during training, like, oh, I recognize that word. But if you're standing there talking sentences to your dog, all you're doing is confusing your dog. So just over the phone, I could tell that there was a lack of leadership, and the dog was very fearful. It was a dog that we think was dumped somewhere, and so who knows the past, but it was a very fearful dog. And excuse me. So the person had said to me, I know the breed, but I don't know how to get the dog to understand that I have everything under control. Now, no disrespect to the owner, because she was a wonderful person, okay? And we had a great conversation. I went and evaluated the dog, but my observation was she didn't have it under control. And I showed her the difference. And if people are willing to not act like they know it all, because, you did call a trainer, and I'm not saying that about this person, I'm just saying in general, if you would just listen, you might learn something that could really make a change and a difference in your lives. So this dog was very, very fearful and growled multiple times at me. And there are some trainers that will say, never correct a growl. And that's baloney. Okay. But you need to know the context of the growl. So I pointed out to her, and she thought she knew. But I pointed out to her, I said, correct that right there. And they said, oh, I should correct that growl? Absolutely. Correct that growl. And so you're not going to be able to see this in podcast land, but the correction was literally, this is no exaggeration, I could have put it around a newborn baby and it wouldn't have done anything. And this is a big dog. Okay. And I said, that's not going to do jack. That is not going to do anything. You have to get through to the mind of the dog. There has to be a visual change in the dog. In other words, you pop that leash and that dog turns and looks at you like, what got into you? Because they're not used to it, right? A big mistake, and again, I'm not saying about this owner, a big mistake people make with, let's just say, rescue, okay, with rescue dogs, and especially if you know the backstory of the dog, they keep too much heart in it. Okay, first thing, rescue is not a breed. So let's take rescue out of it. You have a dog, whether it's a German Shepherd, whether it's a pit, you have a dog, okay? Because those emotions will keep you from doing what you need to do and being the leader that you need to be. And yes, even though this dog is extremely fearful and growls at everybody and just wants you to get out of her space, I'm going to correct that. Now, if you're walking down the street and you see somebody with a dark glasses and a hoodie and a mask on or something like that, if that dog growls, I'm going to let it growl. I'm going to let the dog do its job. Like I said, you got to know the context of the growl. But to say never correct a growl, not going to happen here. That is not good advice. So, showing the owners, which a lot of trainers don't do. They just hand the leash off to the owner. These people don't know what to do. That's why they're calling professionals. So I showed this lady what to do. I did not physically grab the leash, but I showed her across the table what to do. And then I gave several verbal corrections to the dog, and the dog responded. Okay, the dog learned that I wasn't going away. And after I was there for probably, 45 minutes or so, the dog was coming up to me eating out of my hand. Does that mean that the dog isn't going to growl at me no more? No. But this dog is growling at people that live in the home. I mean, like multiple times out of the day. So she was asking me, when do I, or she said, do I, after I correct, do I reward? And I said, no. And there may be some trainers out here that might disagree with that. Okay. But I don't care. This is the way I do it. All right. Let's take counter surfing, for example. We set the dog up maybe with a piece of cheese, and we go to get the dog to jump. No. And we pop the leash to correct the dog. Okay. Just because that dog sits down in that moment doesn't mean we give them a reward. You have to remember, they still was counter surfing. Okay. So at that point, what you need to do is you correct, the dog sits, then you set the dog up again to see if they're going to make the right choice. When they make the right choice, now we mark that behavior with a yes, is what I use. And now we reward the dog for the good behavior, to encourage them to repeat that good behavior. That's the way I do it. If you let a dog jump and correct it, and then they just happen to sit down, why would you reward that? That doesn't make sense. Okay, so when you set them up the second time, you want to give the dog the opportunity to make the right decision. And then when they do, man, load them up. And you want to encourage that. So, given the information that I gave her, yes, I was there for a couple hours, and the dog actually ended up falling asleep for quite a while, just a couple feet from me. And later one time I got up and I walked across the room, and there was a growl, and I waited because I wanted to see what the owner was going to do. Because I can correct your dog all day long, but if they don't see it and get it from you, I'm going home. But you're stuck with your dog. The dog will never feel like you have it under control if you don't have it under control. So last night I got a pretty good sized text message from the owner. Now, this person that's in the house, this dog, I mean, if he walks through, I don't care how many times this dog growls at him. And it makes him pretty nervous. And I can understand why. I mean, because the truth is, this dog could rip any of us apart. Okay. So I got a text last night that he came through the room, and the dog started to growl at him, and the owner said she gave the dog a correction. And the rest of the evening, or however long it was, I guess it was a pretty long time, he came in and out through the house, everything, and the dog did not growl at him any longer. And I haven't heard any different today. And if she gave a correction like I told her, the dog is probably like, holy crap, what get into her? You know? So something else I want to touch on. And I told this to the owner. With a dog like this, fearful, all these things, the last thing you want to be doing is cuddling with that dog on the couch or even in a bed. Okay? Because there have been times when the same person has walked by when that dog has been on the couch with her and the dog has growled at him. I told her, get that dog off the furniture. Now, it's going to be up to the owner whether they want to take my advice or not. Get the dog off the furniture. Show the dog where their place is. Okay? Now, in the future, if that dog comes out of all of this, and let's just say it's not genetic, and it's just maybe from a bad experience, and she can get the dog past this, then if you want to have the dog on the furniture with you, knock yourself out. I don't care. But as long as the dog is showing these behaviors, you want to eliminate all of that. So I unfortunately, they're not able to do training right now, and I really wish they could. A lot of people want lessons in the home. And guys, listen, let me tell you something. You cannot take a dog like this and show up at a house once a week, build a foundation, build a strong relationship, and put this dog through different situations and help them work through different situations that stresses them out by going to a house and doing a handful of lessons. You can't do it. You can't do it. I need that dog with me. I need to take that dog out of the home, get that dog to be crazy about me, and build that trust. So when I go out and put that dog in stressful environments, that dog is going to trust me. And I'm going to work that dog through those stressful situations. I do it a lot. I do it all the time. But some people insist on doing private lessons. Okay. And I'll just be honest with you. If that is not what's best for the dog, I won't do it. But you can find a trainer that will literally steal your money. I hear about it. I see it. I talked to a lady today, just today, this morning, about 10 o'clock. They went to a corporate company, franchise, and she told me today, she said, I spent $2,200. I think she told me $2,200. And she said, my dog will still not come to me, and among other things. And so I'm supposed to meet up with her next week. And she said, I've spent thousands already on training, and my dog is really no different than what she was when she went. So there's rip-off artists out there, man. There's a lot of these trainers they're so unethical. But anyways, guys, that's what I wanted to talk about today. And actually, we're at 44 minutes, okay? So, hey, if you have a topic that you would like me to talk about in the podcast, email me at FlatTop K9 at gmail.com. Okay. FlatTop K9, letter K number 9, FlatTop K9 at gmail.com. Email it to me. Okay. And if you've also been having your dog on these supplements, I would like to give your testimony in the podcast. Okay. There's been several people that have talked to me about it, and with just phenomenal stories. So next week, I'm really not sure what the topic is going to be. I am in the process right now of getting a list of people that I want to have on as a guest. Honestly, I'm still learning the software that I do the podcast on. So I'm still working those bugs out. But I've got some really, really good ideas, some really good content that if everybody comes through that I want to have on, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be really, really good. So please tell people about the podcast. I don't know how you share. Like, some people watch it on Audible or listen to it on Audible and Spotify. If there's a way that you can share that with your friends, your family, and ask them to share it. I mean, how many dog lovers are there out there? There's a ton. I know just here in my county a few years ago, they estimated there was close to 100,000 dogs, like 4 years ago. So there's a lot of animal lovers. So YouTube, you can share it. And again, I want to thank everybody that's been reaching out, that's been taking the time to listen to it. I know one person reached out to me and they're like, I listen to it on my way to work in the mornings. I drive to Nashville and I listen to it on my way to work, So I really, really do appreciate it. And again, if you got any questions, email me at flattopk9 at gmail.com. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. See you next week.